What's up, yo? Going live. What's up? What's up, everybody out there in leadership land? Coach Gerald Lee coming to you live, YouTube and crazy. Haven't been in a while. What's going on here? Had some sickness, some flu. I'm kind of on the back end, taking a sick day, second sick day, but I'll be all right. So I'm feeling a little better, moving in the right direction. So I'm just going to play with this. We're kind of just chilling back here and wisdom. I just want to talk a little bit about wisdom. Wait, let me shut this for a second. Oh, follow me. Yay! All right, wisdom. So, as long as I remember, here's the hair. Oh, look at that. Yay. As long as I remember, I wanted to be wise. And it was funny because for some reason, I don't know what it is, maybe it's a scriptural background as a kid, attaining wisdom, and that's in the book of Proverbs, was always important to me, right? I wanted to be able to kind of be like Solomon, where he was super wise, made right decisions, and I just always thought that was the key to great life, which is it's really an admirable goal is to seek God's wisdom. So as I was doing this, fixing my table here. As I was seeking wisdom, of course, this take my journey through many books I've read, audiobooks, YouTube videos, tons of personal development books, everything you could think of about doing life more efficiently, effectively, all that good stuff. And of course, in some of my journeys, I kind of always go, okay, well, how does this relate to God? How does all this personal development, self-help stuff relate to God? That's always kind of been my little journey, like my question, and trying to find ways that show how they connect. And it's been a cross to carry that. Sometimes it comes easy and sometimes like, it makes no sense. But I've always found that when I go back to scripture, boom, right? And this is my actually Catholic study Bible. And I recommend this one because it has the extra books, or not extra, the original books that our non-Catholic brothers and sisters don't have in their Bible, or the deuterocanonical books as they say. So right now I'm reading from the book of Sirach. Now Sirach, aka Ecclesiasticus, was a guy who wrote some stuff on wisdom, and Sirach is considered one of the wisdom books, if you include that in your canon, which is your list of official books. And basically, he's pretty interesting. It mirrors Proverbs, and I love listening to Proverbs. Proverbs is really a phenomenal book. It's widely accepted by all Christians. And it's just great daily practical application stuff. But I love what Sirach says. I'm going to chapter 1. He says, all wisdom is from the Lord and remains with him forever. And so ultimately, what I've realized is, we can only gain so much knowledge. But if we're really going to truly be wise, you have to have a spiritual life. You have to have a relationship with God if you're going to truly be wise. Because at the end of the day, if you don't have that relationship with God, all the decisions you make are going to fall short of the divine plan. And it's very simple to see is that you were formed for a reason. You are here because God had a purpose, right? You didn't create yourself. God created you. And therefore, you have to be in communication with your creator to understand your purpose. I mean, end of the story. It's simple. It's easy enough. So the wisdom that you receive ultimately, you gain knowledge, and you got to have knowledge to grow in the foundational wisdom to open your mind up to what God has for you to understand this world around us, right? That's why we study and go to school and we look at the sciences. And I love the sciences. But to take that knowledge and do something with it and to apply it in the proper time and place, that's wisdom. And the Greek word for wisdom is Sophia. Why am I saying that? Just because it makes me sound freaking smart. But when you hear about Sophia in the New Testament, written in the original Greek, that's wisdom. And so it's kind of neat where in chapter 1 of Ben Sira, I'm just going to go right here, chapter 1, wisdom becomes, or Sophia becomes anthropomorphic. That means that it takes on a human form. It kind of gives it human characteristic traits. That's kind of a huge literary I'm using a lot of ums here, but that's okay. That's a literary form that made it popular by many literary writers, great poets of the past. And so God does the same thing, or Ben Sira does the same thing in Sirach, is Sophia, wisdom, takes on human traits. And it says that God created wisdom in the beginning. And to get wisdom, this is the coolest part. To get wisdom, you must have fear of the Lord. And in Proverbs, it even says that fear of the Lord is the beginning of all wisdom. Now, this is what freaking blew my mind. Because when I think of fear of the Lord, right, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, holy crap, I'm afraid, right, this year. And yet that's contradictory to what Jesus says is fear not. So this fear of the Lord is that awe and wonder, that amazingness, that whoa, that's kind of what it is. It's a wow factor. And I started thinking about that today. As a matter of fact, I was reflecting on fear of the Lord. And I remember as a child, every child goes through this, is their dad is a superhero when they're young. Their dad can do anything in their mind. Their dad is a god. And I hate saying it that way, small g for all you people who get all fired up. But, and it's the normal human development that as a child, your parents are superhuman. And so your dad can do anything at some point. And of course, we know growing up that the disappointments of life come when we realize that our parents are just human like us. But in the reality of God the Father, is God as your Father can do anything and is all powerful. And so we need to marvel at that power. We need to marvel at that awesomeness. And I'm going to just, there we go. Okay. And marvel at his amazingness to do anything. So what we want to do is take that childlike mentality, like Christ says, right? Unless you become like a little child and sit there and go, wow, God, you are freaking amazing. You are so freaking awesome. And the minute we recognize that God is God and I am not, that is the beginning of wisdom. And matter of fact, that's a prayer I use a lot of times. And sometimes I have to remind myself a lot of times. I say, God, you are God and I am not. And that has a kind of like a little that's my little kick in the face to myself to remind me that just maybe I'm a little too full of myself and just maybe I'm thinking a little too highly of myself and a little too much of myself. And not putting myself in proper perspective. And so by reminding myself that God is God and I am not, that is the first grounding of all wisdom that'll come your way. Because once we accept that fact that God is God and I am not, then I'm smart enough to know, where do I go to find my identity? Where do I go and how should I act in that identity that God is God and I'm not? So it says, the fear of the Lord is glory and exaltation, gladness and a festive crown. The fear of the Lord rejoices the heart, giving gladness, joy, and life long. And that's Sirach 1:12. The fear of the Lord rejoices the heart, giving gladness, joy, and long life. So when we have that wow factor, that God wow factor, and Lord, I know who you are, and I know who I am, and I know who I'm not. When we can take that from here and bring it into here, that's that self-accept. That's the beginning of wisdom. So it's been a while since I've been on here, and I want you to walk with that today, that wisdom. I had some kind of my aha moment, but I'm going to start walking a little bit more through Sirach, some wisdom. I have maybe a little wisdom series here. If you like something, comment below if there's something you want to hear about Sirach or wisdom or something from Scripture. I'm going to do that. Do a little more of this. This is my kick in the faith. So kick in the faith today is this, my friends. God is God, you are not. Fear of the Lord is the beginning of all wisdom. You can find it in the book of Sirach and also the book of Proverbs. And the fear of the Lord rejoices the heart, giving gladness, joy, and long life. All right, my friends, I'm going to figure out, where do I end this? Oh, I'm going to end the stream right here. Love God, love your family. Lead on.